Once every 4 years, we get an opportunity to trade an event that is widely covered around the world. And now we're looking ahead to the Football World Cup in Qatar. And we're joined now by former professional footballer and technical analyst from tradingcollege.co.uk. It's Lee Sanford, a regular guest for us here at IG. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And when we put this together, I wasn't too sure of the statistics, but you've come up with some amazing stats to show this is going to be what, the most expensive World Cup ever?
Ever, yes. They're talking about £200 billion for this World Cup. Previous World Cup in Russia was around 12 billion. The one in Brazil before that, pretty much the same at £11 billion to get this thing off the ground. It's incredible. So it's going to be the most expensive World Cup. It's going to be a very interesting one as well.
Well, talking about the interest side of it, we'll get on to charts in just a minute and how to trade this and some of the interesting charts to watch out for. Let's talk a little bit about our interest in it as Brits, as English, and of course Welsh as well, because we've got two home teams through to the finals in Qatar, England and Wales. What are the chances?
I think England have got a chance. We have got a chance. We've got some great players. I think I live by thinking that one day in my lifetime England are going to win the World Cup, and I think they've got a great chance. I just don't think in Qatar. I don't think we're gelling at the moment as a team. But sometimes pre-World Cup, if you're not playing that well, you sometimes go into the World Cup actually performing much better. We've seen that from teams over the years. So I think we've got a chance. We have got a chance. We've got some great players. I just think at the moment we're not gelling well enough. But hopefully Gareth Southgate, before the actual World Cup, when it arrives, that we're actually all on song.
As a professional footballer, you would know better than most how difficult it might be necessary to acclimatise. I don't know whether you ever played in the Middle East, but I guess this is a very different sort of environment in which to play football than we would get in the Western Northern Hemisphere.
Exactly, and if you see the stats over the years, European countries haven't won. When they're going over to the Americas or playing in World Cups in Brazil and in the US. So the stats are not great for that. And that's why I think when we get down to who we think is going to win the World Cup, we're not going to go for a European country. But yeah, it's a difficult one to acclimatise. I mean, the reason they've moved it from the summer into the winter months here in Europe is because of the weather. It's an absolute nightmare as a football player, as a sportsman. You don't want to be playing in those sort of conditions.
And of course, it takes us out of what is our normal seasonal. The football season. It takes a lot of players out from the Premiership, from various divisions to go to Qatar.
It could be a positive though, because they've only been playing up till November, so August the season starts into November. They haven't played a whole season. Where a normal World Cup, they'd have played a whole season, maybe fatigued, tired, coming to a World Cup, another 6 weeks away from the family. But this could be something different. I don't know. England needs something different to win a World Cup. We always play our World Cups in the summer months, and we've not done so great. We've not got the results we wanted in the World Cups. But maybe something different might change the whole pattern.
For those waving the flag of the Welsh Dragon, chances?
Great, yeah. I don't think they'll win it, but I think they will go. They've got every chance of qualifying from the group. We're playing Iran. They've got the US, and they've got England, of course. But I think their spirit, just their spirit, the whole nation, the Welsh nation, could lift them, and their spirit of their players could take them into the next round.
Well, let's look at more in detail at that group. England versus Iran to start us off with on that group, Group B. I'll talk about the big favourites in just a minute, but that group, and then Wales against the US. What chances the US and Wales graduating through to the next round?
It's all about England going to win that group, I think, and then it's all about Wales and the US. So I think the spirit of the Welsh, as I said, I think got a good chance. US are not a bad side, so I think it's amongst those two. Whoever gets the upper hand, obviously, is going to get through to the next group. I think Wales after that, when we get into that last 16 group, maybe if they get through this group, may struggle a little bit in the next rounds.
Yeah. Of course, it doesn't kick off with that. My understanding it kicks off with the Qatar game, isn't it? Because the hosts play, I think it's Ecuador, isn't it? Let's look at the big hitters, the top 5 that expected to win. Who's in the very top in your book?
All the big players. You've got the likes of France, who won it last time, so they're going to be strong again. You've got the likes of Germany that always do well in competitions. I don't know what it is with Germans. They always get up for the big tournaments, tend to do very, very well indeed. Organised, very well structured team, very well disciplined side. I'm sure we'll come up against them, I suppose, with some penalties along the way. That would be an absolute nightmare. But we've got the likes of Portugal, and then we've got the big guns like, Brazil, Argentina, which are looking really, really strong, especially Argentina.
Yeah. Is that your favourite, or are you going with Brazil? Brazil, I understand, is the tournament favourite amongst the bookies at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's just moving from Argentina and Brazil. So I think for me personally, I'm going to go for Argentina because I think they're on form at the moment, doing well. And because it's in Qatar as well, I think the climate, it would just suit them better, I think, with the European country.
Yeah. So what we agreed to do is we agreed to meet 2 or 3 times over the World War, certainly ahead and during the World Cup, and discuss this. And I know that we were going to focus in on Group B to begin with, and then we'll work out how the home teams are going to do. So let's move away now from the teams and take a look at how we trade this in terms of some of the companies associated with this. You said 200 billion. Is that sterling or is that dollars? I mean, it's a lot of money, whichever way you cut it. Okay, so we've got a lot of companies involved in this, a lot of money involved in this. A lot of people want to be seen to be making a profit. Whether or not they will ultimately remains to be seen. What's your pick amongst the charts to watch out for?
Okay, so we're looking at the sponsors here, and we've got the good old traditional sponsors like Adidas, Coca-Cola, McDonald's are in there. So we're looking at Adidas share price right here, and it's been hammered, isn't it? I mean, it's in a massive downtrend. On Friday, we had a little tick up though.
Yeah, there was a bit of news out, the fundamental news that took us into a positive trading day. In fact, it was up over 20% actually. Just goes to show how much it's been beaten up. Is 20% just makes that little candle. New chief executive on board, which I think is going to be good news. He's coming through from Puma, so a chief executive with a good reputation within the business.
And this is not a trading strategy here. We're not saying that the World Cup is going to move the share price of any of these sponsors in particular, because some of the charts that we've looked at, Jeremy, are not so pretty at all. But if you just look at Adidas, a little bit of a positive announcement on Friday, going into the World Cup, they're going to get a lot of exposure. I think the stop placement on this, the risk is underneath 89.80 here, which is the low here, which is 89 euros. And I think, bit of a round number here, 100 euros. Could we push back up to this resistance area around 151 up here, maybe 150, which is a big round number, which psychologically is something that traders love to attack and gets attracted to. So I don't know. I mean, this for me, I know where I'm wrong. It's in a massive downtrend. If we have to go long, this one has got a decent risk reward here.
And you put a stop loss fairly close in, presumably underneath the
I mean, if you spread betting this, I think you've got to go tighter. But from a technical point of view, it's underneath that low of the 100.
And of course, Adidas is one of these companies so closely aligned with football, being a shirt sponsor, being a shirt provider, and so forth, and having such a real central interest in it. How about some of the peripheral businesses? I'm thinking about some of the brewing companies, the companies that provide food and so forth. And these companies are part of the big sponsorship deals, aren't they, as well?
Yeah, they're the main sponsors. If you look at Coca-Cola and McDonald's, let's look at Coca-Cola right here. In fact, shall we look? Yeah, we look at Coca-Cola. Shall we? Let's go and dive into that chart. Yeah, I mean, the food and beverage here, and you look at Coca-Cola, and it's just, this is in a major downtrend, isn't it? I mean, we made a high of $66, $67, and we've made lower highs, and we're making another lower high here into resistance as well. I cannot get long this at all. It looks like it's making a lower high, which it is, and we could roll back over to 54. Could we get a bit of sentiment with the World Cup? Maybe, but it's got to start breaking above this $61 area here.
Which would take us above the 200-day moving average, which is something else which is going to cause a bit of a headwind, presume. Is that red line?
Absolutely. Then it could attack the highs, and then we'll have a triple top here. So I'm not keen on this market whatsoever. But let's take a little look at McDonald's as well. I mean, McDonald's is a different chart completely. We're sort of looks like we're nearly making new highs.
Yeah. All-time record highs.
All-time record highs. It's really good. I think moving averages are underneath the price, so average price is moving up here. The MACD line is a little bit extended, but it's bullish. It's above the 0 line. So those moving averages are going to come and welcome the price, so that could provide support. And McDonald's, a big sponsor, huge sponsor for the World Cup. And so we could see, this is the most bullish chart that we've seen.
It's interesting, isn't it? The backdrop to all this is that economies around the world are under enormous amounts of strain. Consumers, everybody's feeling higher interest rates. Those that have mortgages have got enormous mortgage repayments. We are normally, you'd see a sporting event like this, one in the summer, which gets people out and gets people into party mode and gets people buying stuff from supermarkets and so forth, or going to the pub. It's a completely different, almost an unknown quantity, isn't it, about what's happening because of the problems. And as you said, I mean, it's this enormous amount of money these companies are spending in order to get to the World Cup, to provide whatever it is they're providing. It's going to be such an interesting thing to work out who's going to make money out of this, if anybody does.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely spot on. It's November, December, before Christmas. Everyone's going to be spending anyway for Christmas.
Assuming they can.
Assuming they can, exactly. They can afford it. But, do you want to go to the pub in November to watch the World Cup on a Monday, 1 p.m. to watch the first game, England versus Iran? Do you want to be doing that? I think a lot, what will happen, I think, for us fans is that, yes, we do normally go to the pub in the summer. It's great because we can get the screens up and all the fans can be chanting. We can, do the usual football's coming home and all that songs, and that'd be great. But this time, do you really fancy going in the cold down to the pub and watching it? And it is in work time as well. So will companies let their staff take the time off to watch some of these? What I think will happen is we will start going to the pub. I think you'll see the consumer go to the pub when we get through to after the group stages, maybe the quarterfinals and things, the bigger, the knockout stages that will end up going to the pubs, and then they might see a little tick up on revenue, which would be quite nice for the breweries before the big Christmas lift-off, really.
Lee, we'll have to leave it there, but thanks indeed for joining us. We'll be back with Lee Sanford from tradingcollege.co.uk. Throughout the World Cup, we'll be taking a look at what's happening in Group B, and if and when either of our two home teams get through to the final stages of the World Cup, we'll be back talking about what's happening, what the odds are, and whether or not there's much hope for the home teams against some of the bigger players within the World Cup. That was Lee Sanford from tradingcollege.co.uk. If you want to find out more from Lee, join him on his website. For more videos from us here at IGTV, join us on Twitter at IGCom, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.